Welcome back. I like that intro.
Do you like that intro? I do too. Hey, Charlie, thanks for joining us.
No problem, Miss Russo.
This is great. We have another great guest and another great technology here. And who's in the room with us right now?
Howison Schroeder.
Howison Schroeder, what do you do?
I am the CEO and president of Neuro Kinetics, and we use high-end digital video technology to track the reflex response of the eyes to a wide range of tests. And each one of these tests taxes different parts of the brain, and we simplistically are essentially mapping neurophysiologic function non-invasively.
So what might the issue be for us common folk?
For you common folk, we've been doing actually balance assessment for a long time. But lately we've been getting into the concussion arena. We actually just got a contract with the Department of Defense for 2 contracts actually that add up to about $2.5 million to commercialize our concussion software.
So
When you talk about balance, and there was a lot of discussion over the years with power bands, is that something that you believe in or not? You know, when you do.
Interesting. I don't know enough about the power bands. I've seen some of it, and some of the people who have used it, they speak. They're addicted to it.
Yeah, some
they
people
just
speak
say
highly
it's
of it. Some
great.
people don't.
Yeah.
And that was the balance issues. So I don't know if that kind of.
But I'll
plays
tell you
into
what,
it.
if you want to bring them in, we can do a side-by-side trial, the ones with power bands and ones without, and we'll see if their balance improves.
And there was a test that was done. I think Real Sports did a test on that one time.
They may have, but what I would doubt that they used the eye and the test that we use. So some of the motion tests we use, particularly for the balance system, you actually have to sit in a chair, and we put on these goggles with these fancy digital video cameras in them, and we sway the person back and forth to measure their vestibular ocular reflex, or pursuit function, etc. A good baseball player's got to have a really good VOR. Good wide receivers got to have a really good VOR to be moving in space and keep your eyes focused on the ball.
What are some of the signs that you see from the eyes that would tell you, that would make you make a decision, say, you know what, maybe you might need to see our product?
It's interesting. We humans, we all process images in our brains at about 35 images per second. So the TV, it flips an image at about 33 hertz. The brain can move the eye much more quickly than that, and our data suggests essentially if you are trying to look at the eye at anything less than 100 frames per second, you're missing valuable clinical information. So we have the byline now, the science to see more. And when we look at concussions as an example, there's a test. Your doctor will take his finger or pencil and wave it back and forth in front of you. It's called a smooth pursuit test. We know exactly what the stimulus is because we use a laser, projects on the wall, goes back and forth sinusoidally in front of you, and your eye tracks it. If you're normal, you have a very good pursuit function, which is actually one sort of assessment component, one functional component in the brain. If you have had a concussion, that's one of the tests where we often see a problem. So a fast movement of the eye is actually called a saccade, so your eye jumps. You can't do the pursuit function, so your eye will jump to catch up to the line.
Oh.
And it's really kind of, frankly, black and white, quite objective,
Oh.
as one example.
So what's driving your growth? I know that you're looking for new hires, or you have 5 new hires at least. So, but what's driving your growth?
The growth right now is driven by this Department of Defense contract.
Okay.
So we had to gear up. The great medical device depression that we went through after the
Right.
financial crunch and doctors pulling back on what they were doing in private practices,
Right.
and then Medicare reimbursement rates being cut. That didn't lead to a great deal of fun in 2010 and 11. But now with this contract, we've geared up. We've hired some really great people.
From out of the region, inside the region?
Almost everyone is from inside the region. We got a bright young guy from Westinghouse. We got a really bright fellow from Dynavox. We got another bright
You're
fellow.
stealing from your neighbors.
We got another bright guy from University of Pittsburgh.
Okay, that one's okay.
That one's okay. And so the next pulse in growth will be really when we can commercialize this concussion software, which is really as much it's a data gathering game and an FDA game at the moment.
No, I know obviously health and safety has been talked about in numerous ways. You know, especially football, people are talking about the concussions, but there are concussions in many different ways. You're talking lacrosse, baseball, basketball, even in the military. I mean, some of those. I mean, when you look at that, I mean, is that kind of helping you drive the business?
Well, and the reason, so military. Why are we in the military? There are actually two reasons. One, they've got a problem with the concussions. And with all due respect, Mr. Batch, I'm not quite sure where the NFL or some of the pro teams are. I don't really know how much they want to know or don't want to know. The DOD is clear. They're under huge political pressure to figure this out. So we have approached them, got lucky with this. Shouldn't say lucky, it was a bloody hard good work that my colleagues did to position ourselves to get this contract with the DOD. But with them, we've got an ally. Now that we're under their tent, that's really the focus. So this clinical study we're getting ready to do, and we have Captain Hoffer's coming from San Diego Naval Hospital tonight, as is Major Filitro from Fort Benning. They're coming in, and we're going to be doing some side-by-side tests with normal basic training soldiers when they arrive, and then those who get concussed either in the fight house or other parachute jumping, etc. And then we're going to take that data set and look at the rest of it. The military has decided that blast is a different issue, which may be part of your question, but getting blast data is hard, and frankly the soldiers in theater have been too much of a guinea pig. So they've decided, give us blunt. We're going to take sports-related blunt concussion data, and if that gets approved by the FDA, we're just going to run with that.
On the layers of it, does the impact testing come into play with the military?
The military uses something called MACE, and they have the impact equivalent that the military uses is the acronym is ANOM. I can't remember exactly what it stands for now, but that's their equivalent. They don't use impact, they use their own neuropsych evaluation test. But the stats on both of those are not really very good.
But you know what's interesting is you're finding so many uses in different applications for your technology down the horizon. So what other things? I mean, concussion management and concussion detection has been pretty prevalent these days, and I would imagine the next 10 years, that's at least it's going to be.
Well, and it's a vacuum. I mean, there's just nothing that's doing the job.
Right.
We use the term often when we compare stuff, gold standard or whatever. There is no gold standard. There's really isn't a silver. So concussion is where we're going first. We've got to actually build a revenue stream off of something. Your comment about what we can do, yes, there are over 200 different diseases that show up in the form of an abnormal eye movement. But that's like being a kid in a candy shop. Which candy bar are you going to buy? At the end of the day, if we don't pick one, we'll be broke. So the concussion has really presented itself in sort of unusual circumstances that we've been lucky enough to take advantage of, and hopefully we'll be the first guy across the finish line with the DOD.
So,
that's the next pulse of growth we open the next
12 you've been
months
at this for a while. How long have you been working at this?
Do you have to bring that up?
No, well, I wanted to take that into that you've been at this for a while, and
am I looking a little kind of, little dog-eared here?
a little tired.
Yeah.
Other than that, but what advice do you give to people who are getting in this, this kind of space, and entrepreneurs, and
Persistence.
So
Persistence.
how do you keep it? What's the secret for Howison?
Well, that's a good answer. I have no clue. I'm just a lousy quitter. I just don't know how to quit.
Did you ever have a concussion? Have you ever been?
Actually, I did. When I was young, we were ice skating. I remember with a friend, we went out to North Park or South Park, and they had just zambonied the ice, and we did the slingshot shot whip thing, whatever they do. And so I said, "Oh, sure, I'll be the first one to get launched." And I woke up 3 hours later in my friend's bed. And then other than that, I played lacrosse and soccer, so I had my bell rung a few times.
And I know if you're sitting back and you shifted, obviously, your focus there to the military, but if I'm riding in my car and I have my son or daughter in the car and I wanted to get involved with you, how can I go about doing that?
Well, one, give us a call. Two, we're also working with Allegheny Singer Research Institute and the folks at West Penn Allegheny Health System, so they've got some of our technology as well, and they are trying to capture every concussion that they can get right now. So to the degree somebody's got a concussion, call up the sports team at Allegheny General and or call up the neurology team at Allegheny General.
And if you want to know more, you can go right out to your site.
Right.
You've got great information at neuro-kinetics.com.
Great.
So anything else up on the horizon for you? You staying out of trouble? You keeping your head down?
Just trying to get this concussion stuff going. Retinopathy will be next. That study, hopefully with UCLA and Hopkins, will be finishing soon. And just keep plugging. Put one foot in front of the other. And if you're still standing at the end of the game, that's half the victory.
There you go. And he's right here in Pittsburgh.
He's right
not, even though he's doing big things with the military, he's not forgetting about the little people, because that's where it started. And obviously concussions are a big point of emphasis no matter what level you're at.
Correct. Absolutely right. And I think the kids, at the end of the day, that's going to be the biggest issue, to make sure we don't put them in harm's way with too many concussions.
Well, thank you, Howison, for joining us. We're going to be keeping our eye on you. I'm so clever. And Charlie,
Hey,
what can I say? It's another in the pocket.
another in the pocket. I'm excited about it and learned more about concussion today than I did coming into it.
That's great. Important stuff. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Thanks. This is Audrey Russo.
And I'm Charlie Batch.